Once upon a time, there was a bar called the Folies-Bergère, and inside, everyone was smiling and flirting and staring, except for the bartender, who gave off a more enigmatic vibe from the look in her eyes compared to the trapeze performer. Can you find the performer? Here in the Folies-Bergère in Paris, we find ourselves facing a bar. It's 1880, a year before Édouard Manet passes away. It's late, and the bartender is waiting grimly for us to come in. Who's that behind her? Since the whole thing is a huge mirror, it must be her, of course. But she has a completely new appearance. We'll have to wait our turn, since she's with a gentleman right now. But where is he? Precisely, why is he not there in front of us? Are we the gentleman she is talking to? The Folies-Bergère is universally recognized as one of the most baffling masterpieces ever created. It was a well-liked Parisian music venue before the Folies-Bergère. Manet frequented the area to draw. The entertainment venues include everything from ballets to circus shows, and even the less spoken draw of the barmaids who were known to sell themselves, as well as alcohol. Maupassant, the author's guide, called them vendors of alcohol and love. Even though Manet displayed this work at the 1882 Paris Salon, he never revealed the identity of the bartender depicted. The woman has now been identified as Susan. She relaxes against a marble bar, whose surface is adorned with bottles of alcohol and oranges. There's a wall between them, and we're separated from her by the same wall. She seems to be clinging on the counter for dear life, as if it were the only solid object in an otherwise unstable environment. She has an eerie resemblance to the backdrops she poses with. It's no coincidence that she's wearing all black, just like the bottles. The gold foil in her jewelry, the flowers, and the bass, and so on, all allude to the flowers on her chest. It's as if she's simply another commodity, yet her look is so achingly human. Even though she is looking directly at us, her eyes never quite reach us, creating another barrier between us. Her look was so vague that it might have been taken to mean anything from sadness, to exhaustion, to withdrawal, to daydreaming, to nothing at all. To her right, in the mirror, a guy pops up. It has been suggested that this is in fact Manet. He gives off an impression of fervor, eagerness, and closeness. We don't even know what he's after. A drink? Company for the night? But could it be the same woman? The lady in the mirror seems far more interested than the one in front of us. Furthermore, the interaction is unrealistically off-center. Perhaps Susan is just making it up in her head. When we inspect the mirror in the backdrop, we get a glimpse of the world as Susan sees it. Under the glimmer of the chandeliers and the light of the many candles, couples chat, and friends and strangers alike enjoy themselves. Manet was known for his unconventional artistic stances. In contrast to most of his Impressionist colleagues, he often depicted his subjects in a manner that questioned the prejudices put on them by society. Manet's critics claimed that the obvious mistakes in perspective in the Folies-Bergère were the result of the artist's hurry. However, this is very improbable because he likely did several on-location sketches before finishing the painting in his studio. When examining X-rays of the completed picture, you can see that he moved the woman's reflection to the right. The male has been made taller and higher in the frame, and her arms, which were initially crossed, have been repositioned many times. But why would Manet change reality on purpose like this? Well, he may not have. Art historian Malcolm Park attempted to recreate this scene to address its spatial and optical discrepancies. In research done in 2000, he successfully recreated the scene from a point of view off to the right of the bar. Manet's likely painting stance is shown, revealing how he would have taken in his surroundings. If this is the case, then we may finally understand why the guy is invisible in the main image, but not in the mirror. The optical illusion also implies that the male is to the woman's left, and that their dialogue is not real. Actually, he turns his gaze away from her. Susan isn't really leaning on the bar, but it does seem like she is. She's turned slightly so that she's facing the camera instead of the male. Similarly to the original artwork, the replica shows her focusing intently on her reflection rather than the outside world. According to this interpretation, the most noticeable deviation from the actual scene is the bar's angled edge, which is shown at a steeper angle in the painting than it would have been in life. Likely, it is true. I mean, they did it on purpose to make the woman's head seem like a vanishing point and focus attention on her face. If this is the case, it's comical from the perspective of the observer that Susan, who is front and center, is getting no attention from the room's many inhabitants. It's as if she's utterly alone in a room full of people, since the one who appears to see her isn't looking at her at all. The only ones who notice her are we. Click here to discover one of the best-kept secrets in the history of art.